free, Skaro! Hello, everyone. Welcome to Radio Free Skaro, episode number 845. I am Stephen in Edmonton.
Warren in Vancouver.
And Chris in Edmonton.
As you can tell by the massive media hype that's going on around the internet and broadcast television these days, a new episode of Doctor Who is apparently airing in 3 weeks' time. I joke, of course, because there's nothing. We're into that stage again. We're into this where on top of like basically, you know, the BBC not really promoting the show very much, but also we're in between eras of the show, which is never a good sign when you're trying to promote something, the end of an era essentially, but also waiting for the new era to start. So that's where we're at right now. 3 weeks today, as this comes out. We're recording this on a Friday afternoon, so if anything big breaks, if the BBC's been waiting all week to break news, perhaps on a Saturday, A, I'd believe him, but B, we aren't going to talk about it here because we're recording before that. But we're 3 weeks away from a new episode of Doctor Who, and we don't even know when it airs.
Yeah, that's a guess. In this half-spirited defense of the production team et al., they're all probably very tired and over the whole damn thing.
Yeah, well, I mean, they've cleaned up their offices.
Involved.
Or that too, yes.
Yeah, they're not involved in the promotion aspect of it. It's but even
or just not even at all. Like Matt Strevens tweeted ages back, like, "Yeah, that's it. I'm done. My time on Doctor Who is over." And then the interview with him in Doctor Who magazine afterward said something like, "Yeah, he's still, going to pop his head in on the edit or mix or whatever, but like everything's locked and there's not much you can do." And so, and then that's not up to somebody like him to be part of the promotion anyway. The best of times.
We're into this era's Friday afternoon, and everybody's looking at the clock.
It is. I know. It's sad because this is an end of an era for the whole production team and the first woman doctor. And like this would have been her final episode had the BBC not said actually we'd like you to do one more.
That's true. Yeah.
In October. So like this feels like it would have been a little more monumental, and it's like, well, we don't even know when it airs. We don't even know when the damn thing airs. They said Easter weekend. That's all we know. That's literally all we know. We're assuming Sunday.
Probably 7 p.m.
Probably, I guess per
all
normal.
those are safe bets.
Wedged
Unless
in after
maybe there's a big event, like some sort of big thing that they also roll out on an Easter Sunday that I'm not privy to because I'm not a Brit.
No, I don't think there is. I mean, back in days of yore, Doctor Who, I say days of yore, like the RTD years, and indeed into the Moffat years.
Those are also quite yore, by the way.
Yeah, Easter was the Easter Bang holiday weekend, which is often when it aired. I know. Obviously, Planet of the Dead aired on Easter in 2009. On the Sunday. It was a Sunday, wasn't it? Wasn't it Easter Sunday it aired? Planet of the Dead. Find out in the Timelash.
Sunday, Planet of the Dead, yes.
Yeah, in a couple of weeks, I guess. But, but oftentimes that long weekend, like we're coming up to the anniversary of, it happened yesterday as you listen to this, tomorrow, as we recorded, the anniversary of the return of Doctor Who in 2005. So, this time of year is not a unusual thing, but there's no promotion of it. There's no pictures. There's no
we're still left with nothing. So
we're still left with nothing. Even I was looking, it's like, what about Graham Norton? Graham Norton's off season. They've run their last 2 episodes. They aren't on, so like there won't be like a clip of a trailer or something on the Graham Norton show, which you might think is sort of part and parcel with promoting a new episode of Doctor Who. So it's just sort of like falling in April, and I guess maybe at some point the BBC will tweet about it, and maybe we'll see a trailer or something. We haven't even seen a trailer. We've seen a Next Time trailer at the end of the last episode on New Year's Day of this calendar year. That's it. That's all we've got.
When is the centennial? Like, when is the actual BBC centennial?
October. October-ish. So some vague. No, I think it might be October 22nd. That's when I pinned it down for planning purposes, for guessing purpose. We're not even guessing. We're planning. We're just guessing at this
wild
point.
Speculation purposes.
Yeah, it really is. So anyway, it's depressing. I know there's a new promotional unit coming in when R2D moves in, if he hasn't already. So perhaps that will lead to more / actual existing promotion of the show that we all love so much and devote a whole podcast to. But we don't. And, as I said last week, let's go on the old BBC America website and promote it. No, nothing there. There's nothing on Crave. There's nothing anywhere. It's like it doesn't exist. Apart from SFX magazine.
I was just looking at the BBC Media Center site, and for the entire week. So week 16, as they label it. There's no information for any shows whatsoever. So you can't even see what Doctor Who might be following or leading into or whatever. There's nothing for the entire week. All BBC channels.
With Easter, you don't get the thing like you do at Christmas, or at the beginning of the season, where you get the whole 1 minute thing. And here's all the BBC stuff, and Doctor Who gets a tenth of a second of a blip.
No, don't even have that. Don't even have that. So, everyone's moved on from producing the show. Maybe even though people have moved on from promoting the show, I think the BBC America has moved on from co-producing the show. And so we basically just have 2 episodes left until we have to wait 13 more months until a new episode of Doctor Who. So, boy, oh boy. Hope you enjoy those classic series commentaries, folks, because there's going to be a few of those coming in the next couple years, including today, part 2 of Planet of Evil is on this show today. The Patreons have already heard. If you listen to them, it came out in January. You already know what's coming next. You already know what the next story is. We're not going to spoil it here, but the next story that we're doing is a commentary, which will probably be next month at this rate, since nothing's happening. It's a doozy. Oh, it's a doozy.
Not for the reasons you think, though.
But so is Planet of Evil Part 2. The SFX magazine devoted, probably 3 pages of its most recent issue to the Sea Devil design, an interview with Ray Holman, the costume designer, talking all about the Sea Devils. The magazine itself costs $13. That's basically $4 a page based on probably how much Doctor Who content was in there. So I did not get it, but I didn't have to because the Radio Times just sort of basically lifted quotes from a different magazine to make an article about it themselves. Good
there
for them.
Was a time when the Radio Times would not be known for that, but this is not that time.
Nope, not at all. So even the Radio Times is begging for it.
Yeah. But they have 10 pages on the new Halo TV show.
It's a Halo TV show.
Great, what the world needs.
I had to ask you two before recording, during our normal 1 hour bitch session before we press record on this. That's how this works. That I remember a long time ago that they announced a Halo TV series, and then it just sort of they made a big thing about it, and then it just sort of went. And it sort of went away, and then all of a sudden, I guess they're making it now. And I realized that it's 9 years since they announced this thing, and they're finally
this could be good for all I know. Chris, you've actually watched it, so you'd know. Mm-hmm. But I have the Master Collection. I played Halo Infinite. I enjoy all these games. They are all great. They think they have a better story than they do. They are good games because the combat is amazing. It's incredibly well put together. But the story, such as it is a bit much. And Halo Infinite knows that. They're just well, here's a bunch of things you're going to liberate at the end. So that doesn't make for a good TV show as far as I'm concerned. Now, all the ingredients are there, and with the right writers and directors and everything else, I'm sure it'd be great. But given that base layer, I have no interest in watching a story about Halo. Playing it, absolutely.
I just want to, breaking news, sorry, just as I rant about for 4 minutes about the BBC not saying anything. As people will know, this is 2 days old, but literally as the clock struck midnight in the UK, we have 3 new photos from the Sea Devils from the official BBC account. So there we go. So there, the marketing push begins now. I've spoken far too quickly. There is some great costumes. There is an amazing looking outfit on the Doctor. She's not even wearing her normal Doctor Who outfit. And there's a Sea Devil. So there we go. It's on. It's on, folks. I take it all back. The media push begins now. Sea Devils returning. Legend of the Sea Devils. Coming soon. So we still don't even have. It says premiering this spring. Guess what? We're in spring. We're already in spring. We're
I like how you went from elated to bitter. You're going to space a minute.
Well, I mean, I can kind of see like BBC America, like so because I follow both BBC America and official Doctor Who account, and they both tweeted roughly the same time, and like the information on the BBC America tweet is a little more because it actually says premiering this spring on BBC America, but the official BBC Doctor Who account just says Legend of the Sea Devils coming soon. And that's it.
But it's got a pirate flag emoji thing.
I noticed that. Yeah. So there we go, folks. Pictures. We got some pictures. Anyway.
It was all your ranting that they haven't heard yet.
Maybe it was. Maybe that was it. Maybe they heard me. And somehow they wouldn't, but all right, well, the slow, I can sort of say the slow boat to China. Is that racist now? I don't know. It's
you know what? If you have to ask, it probably is. So
it's a very old phrase, and if they could, where does that originate? Anyway, because it's set in the China Sea, on Easter. So anyway, Legend of the Sea Devils, at least 3 photos, possibly more, maybe on the official BBC America website. I'm shaking my head as I say that. Yeah, they'll show up, but they probably won't. We should also say that Hugh Grant is not Doctor Who.
What a shock. I can't believe it.
Yeah, this was of course David Tennant is going to be the next Doctor. That's act surprised when you hear the news. Briefly, of course, not the full-time Doctor, but since that, now everyone's going to be now it's going to be Smith and Capaldi, and they're all coming back, and Eccles is going to come back, but only if he's the only one. And then Donald Nobles is back. That might happen. And then all of a sudden, for some reason, people are going, Hugh Grant. That's it. It's Hugh Grant because he worked with.
It happens every time.
RTT,
every time.
Literally every time. Like dating back until like the 1970s, basically. Like, who's going to be new Doctor? Who's going to take over from Patrick Troughton? But at least it compelled Mr. Grant, Hugh Grant, Sir Hugh Grant, to actually go on Twitter and say nothing against W, but I'm not. No idea where the story came from. So he was compelled to tweet out a denial. Which means that, of course, he is 100% going to be the next.
He is not
Doctor. He's not at all.
And the thing is, he's very amusing when he wants to be. I think
lovely.
I would rather not have another old white dude, but were we to get one, he'd be one of the better ones. But it just smelled of nonsense to me. Yeah, and turned out to be nonsense.
It is 100% nonsense.
He's been there. He's done that. So.
I would like Hugh Grant to have a guest role in Doctor Who. I feel like kind of like Stephen Fry was used and then wasted. Let's face it.
We haven't had another rogue Time Lord in a long time. I would love to have him as a rogue Time Lord of some sort.
No, I kind of like him, like what Stephen Fry was, sort of just be the man for the Ministry. I kind of like that, just like this with a bowler hat. Get him in a bowler hat. Hugh Grant in a bowler hat as the man for the Ministry coming in and says, "Nope, just a second, Brigadier Lethbridge Stewart. You cannot do that. So I've got to." Yeah, that'd be kind of fun.
Time to carve out your section on AO3 with all that there, Stephen.
Another one.
The Hugo winning AO3. Thank you very much.
That's true, which means I've won a Hugo, and everybody else on there has too. I love how people got mad and actually took that seriously. Well, no, actually, you haven't gotten a Hugo. Like, we know that. I think everybody on there is well aware they haven't personally won a Hugo. Calm down, nerds.
Yeah, it wasn't me either. I didn't, me with my 5 Hugos did not.
Yeah, I know. You actually have Hugos that you individually, sort of, have won.
Sort of, part of a team.
Well, your name's on it, so yes, you have.
It is. It 100%, and it's spelled correctly too. So that is a double win. So there we go. So to recap so far, media is lacking, but we have 3 new pictures for the Legend of the Sea Devils coming up sometime in the spring, anytime before June 21st.
I got a thing, but now I'm still mad about the other thing.
I'm still mad. Give us a date, for God's sake. There were two Star Trek episodes.
You're not wrong.
You're not wrong. Right? Thank you. I know. I play it up a little bit for, when the mic's in front of my face, I play it up a little bit. You might have noticed, but
no, I don't think you do. Actually, I think this is genuinely how you might be toning it down. Actually,
I could be right. Actually,
you're a very angry person.
No, I'm not.
Trust me, I know. I can smell out my own kind.
Yeah. Hugh Grant, not Doctor Who. Doctor Who possibly airing in 3 weeks or 3 months, depending on how you read the tweet from the official BBC Doctor Who network. All right. Before we get into a whole massive... See, Big Finish played it right. We'll get to them because they saw, hey, no Doctor Who news this week. Let's release everything. Let's announce literally everything that's coming down the pipe from Big Finish, and they did. But before we do that... Yes, Chris, sorry.
I was going to get this out of the way.
Right.
So,
here we go.
Our old friends at the Plymouth Herald
that's an interesting use of the word friend.
Ran an article about what they think should part of the Doctor Who MCU style thing, and Big Finish, at least on Facebook, maybe Twitter as well. I didn't look. There's a bunch of ideas that Big Finish has already done. So Big Finish posted the link to the articles, basically saying, "Done it," and it's, yeah.
I don't remember the Harrison Ford film, but I immediately have Harrison Ford in my head going, "Who gives a damn what you think?"
That was Star Wars, right? No,
it was not Star Wars. It may not have been Harrison Ford either. It just stuck in my head.
But
so, if anyone knows what Warren's talking about, it might be
indignant
Harrison Ford,
character
or
actor.
it might
Who
not.
gives a damn what you think?
Right.
That's what I say to myself whenever I see Plymouth Herald stuff.
Right. Gotcha. Listen, hey, they were accurate one time, and now they think they can just well, look at this. I don't even have to try to. Let's bat left-handed this time. Let's take some cuts left-handed and see us hit the upper deck with a home run. No, they can't do that. Wrong. Brimming over with wrong ability. That's what is going on with that.
Wrong Tastico.
Wrongitude. All right, on that note, let's dip into the Timelash. Back when Doctor Who was promoted adequately. Maybe it wasn't.
Was it, though? You don't even know that.
I don't know. I enjoyed the Twitter account, Doctor Who 1982. They change it every year because it's they're basically, day-to-day 40th anniversary of whatever's happening in Doctor Who. And now they're into the production or the broadcast, rather, of season 19. Anyway, they had a couple clips of Peter Davison's "This Is Your Life" appearance. I've never seen that before, and it was obviously taken off of a home VHS recording or something like that. So that was neat. I enjoyed it because they staged a fake photo op in Trafalgar Square of all places for Doctor Who, and then they just had a bunch of people, and then Eamon Andrews came out with his little red book and said, "Peter Davison, this is your life," and it was. And that was it, basically. But so I enjoyed watching that. 40 years ago, last week, is what happened there. This week, though, The Lion, Episode 1 of The Crusade, aired March 27th, 1965. This, of course, is the episode that was found or was bartered with or offered for trade to one Paul Scoons, and I can't remember who Paul Scoons' friend is. I'm sorry. Back in 1999 in New Zealand. That's where this came from. That was this episode. So think about that. That's 23 years ago that thing was recovered after being lost for less than 23 years. More than 23
I gotta be
years.
honest with you, I haven't thought about
Or
that
34
at all,
years.
and I will continue not to think about
years.
it.
I have. I think about it a lot. Just
I'm
because
sure
it
you
exists.
have, yes.
Yeah,
I
it
know.
exists. It's an episode that exists. So, speaking of China, Marco Polo, which featured no Chinese actors. Episode 6, maybe it did in the background. Maybe some of the extras were, but certainly none of the speaking parts. Episode 6, Mighty Kubla Khan, aired March 28th, 1964. The Ambassadors of Death, episode 2. I just finished season 7 last night as we record this. It's the best season, and I hate all of Doctor Who that comes after it because it's not as good as that.
including Genesis of the Daleks, episode 4, with Tom Baker's famous speech that you absolutely hate. Sorry,
Is that the
6.
one?
No,
Is it 6? It's got to be 6,
That's
right?
6.
Yeah, I know. What happens
What
in
the hell
4?
am I talking about?
Oh, well, what do
What
we
happens
know?
in
We
4?
saw.
What happens in 4? People get captured.
It's got to be the yeah. 'Cause
That
we
could
saw
be any Doctor Who ever.
yeah. Well, we saw the omnibus version. So what is an individual episode, right?
Well, Genesis of the Daleks and Frontier in Space, and there's a few where it's just back and forth, capture.
Yeah, I love Frontier in Space, which wrapped up.
Time Flight episode 3, where we actually see the proper Anthony Ainley master.
Speaking of racist China, speaking of racist China stuff. Oh, it's the theme this week, isn't it? That's great. Khalid, he tosses off the costume, and then there's some stupid Zareth. But let me tell you, I am very easily pleased when it comes to Doctor Who, apart from how it's marketed. But very rarely in its history have I been like legitimately disappointed upon first viewing with Doctor Who episodes. And that whole nonsense back and forth talking about the Zarephath and like two of them and they're in episode 3, it's garbage. It's just garbage.
We had episode 4 this week as well. And,
yeah.
You know, it was Professor What's His Face and
Hater, Professor Hater. Yeah. But it had Captain Stapley in it, and he sort
I was waiting for that.
Yeah, so literally the only redeeming feature in all of Time Flight is Captain Stapley, the greatest I call him a companion. We've had this debate before. He actually sort of flies the TARDIS even, not just sets foot inside it like Sarah Kingdom.
I mean, that's getting it on a technicality.
I know.
We've also got the, being the end of the season, the departure of Tegan. Or what we thought was the departure of Tegan.
Right.
The accidental departure of Tegan.
Yes.
Yeah. I know, yeah, they tried to hoodwink the viewer to think that was actually I wonder, I'd love to go back obviously I'd love to go back in time, but I'd love to see like what the press reaction was. Did Janet Fielding sort of have to play
You're assuming there was one.
Well, maybe, yeah. Like, did she get, like, I don't know, was she on Twitter in 1982 going, yeah, it looks like I'm gone from Doctor Who. Wonder what's going to happen.
She was.
Yeah. Because, you know, it went on, like, there were 9 months in between series back then. So, like, and I assume, kept it a secret that she was going to be back in Arc of Infinity until, like, maybe close to broadcast. So, like, I wonder how much they played that up.
We're guessing that, but who knows if they just gave it away because they didn't care.
Now, well...
You're idealizing the past. Yeah. I'm pretty sure it was as ramshackle as it is now. If it wasn't more.
Well,
after the effort they made for Matthew Waterhouse's name to be in the Radio Times and all that, I mean, I think they gave a bit of a crap.
Maybe.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Now that I think about it, I remember there was a lot of press coverage because, of course, Doctor Who went to Amsterdam to shoot Arc of Infinity, like, what, in July, I think, of that year? Maybe June, July?
What did the set reporters have to say at the time?
Oh, no, they took actual photos. There's big photos of, like, Janet Fielding in her new outfit and Peter Davison riding on a tandem bike, a bicycle built for two, if you will.
Get me to a telegraph. I have to let everybody know.
Yeah, I think I think they basically said, yeah, she's coming back, you stupid idiots. You got hoodwinked. You got suckered by Time
Flight.
Flight.
If you read the fanzines at the time, or mimeographs, so they were popularly known.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if that was July, that's still months away at this point.
It's still months away, but it was not long after like the broadcast of Time Flight, is what I mean to say. So like if they weren't worried about saying, yeah, she's back, whatever, you knew she was coming back. Curious. Maybe the upcoming production diaries of John Nathan Turner, written by Richard Molesworth, that's coming out from Tellus Publishing on May 1st, will read all into this. It'll just be from from April to June. In his diaries, it'll just be, don't talk about Janet Fielding coming back. Don't talk about Janet Fielding.
I was going to say that only you are this obsessed, but no, that's not true. You are good company.
It'll be in the chapter entitled JNT Wanted a Vacation on the BBC's Dime.
One of many.
Let's go to Amsterdam.
One of many. Let's go to Thailand.
Never been to Amsterdam. Gary and me just bought a new Sony camcorder. We'd kind of like to go to Thailand. Maybe to Singapore.
I still sneakily admire that. Just the utter cheek of it is pretty beautiful.
Well, listen, we're running out of chances to have, if indeed location scouting footage, quote unquote, exists of their jaunt to Singapore for what eventually was part of the aborted season 23. If that exists, I think it should show up on the season 22 Blu-ray, which we still don't have an actual release date in the UK. We were talking about that before we got on air too. Is that they don't have a release date for that, even though they had a BFI event in early March for Revelation of the Daleks. That's not even on there. So maybe they actually says, whoa, stop the presses. We found Gary Downey's and John Nathan Turner's location recce footage from 1985 in Singapore. We have to put it on the disc. Maybe that's the holdup.
Meanwhile, the restoration teams are working their butts off to get it looking nice.
Like, how much should we cut? Well, Probably a lot. Probably should cut a lot of that. That might be raw footage. I don't need to see.
I thank God this is going on tape in quotes because I can actually play that back to you.
Video. Yeah. Speaking of ignominious ends to seasons, the Twin Dilemma wrapped up, as did actually Revelation of the Daleks a year later. So what an auspicious day. March 30th is with the 82 with Time Flight, 84 Twin Dilemma, 85, the last episode for 18 months. Goodness me. Remember when that was a long time in between? Actually, that still is a pretty long time when you think about
exactly.
It is, yes.
Yeah. The Twin Dilemma. I'm the Doctor, whether you like it or not. Cue credits. 9 months. 9 months of that sitting in your craw going, maybe I don't like him. What do we do now? Get it canceled.
We got Revelation of the Daleks, which is good.
Yeah, it is. I'll take you to... I remember as a kid, I always wondered what the hell was going on there. You know, and then being kind of annoyed because the next week was Trial of a Time Lord for us because we were just watching.
That's right. Yeah, exactly.
We had no gap.
Yeah, they never addressed it. Like it's Ravelocks even. It doesn't begin with a B. Stupid show. Why do I like this show?
I remember reading in Doctor Who magazine about how's Blackpool. I'm like, well, that still doesn't mean anything to me. I'm not from.
I didn't know what Blackpool was. I didn't know what Blackpool was. No.
What is a Blackpool even?
Yeah.
It's the mythical season 22B where he's actually going to Flavortown with Guy Fieri.
As one does.
I'd pay to watch that.
That is what I want to see in a box set supplement. Is him in Flavortown, Bob, with current day with Guy Fieri.
Flavortown.
I mean, he and Guy Fieri share a similar dress sense these days. So
I think Colin Baker pulls it off better.
Yeah. You're talking about the Crocs, or are you talking like
shirts?
Guy Fieri dresses like Colin Baker does in 1985.
Who, to be fair, from everything I've heard, one hell of a guy.
Guy Fieri, really?
If flamboyant, yeah. Flamboyant, but apparently a super nice dude who gives a pile of money to charity, so.
Yeah.
Just like Zack Snyder. His fans are terrible. He apparently is a lovely gentleman.
Is he really?
Apparently, that's what I've heard, yeah.
I hear that some people don't like his movies, though.
Well, for good reason. A lot of them are crap. But he apparently, as a human being, is pretty nice.
Well, think about that next time you dunk on Batman v Superman X versus Sever.
I
whatever
won't. The movie itself is garbage.
Oh, okay.
I do like how he worked X versus Sever in there.
I don't even know what that is, but...
it's Lucy Liu and Antonio Banderas film from the mid-2000s.
Yeah. Oh, those are heady days. Speaking of mid-2000s, 2007. Look at an actual Modern Who broadcast anniversary. 2007, March 31st, 2007, Smith & Jones. Series 3 began of Doctor Who. I don't know what the ratings got there. Warren could probably fill us in on that later.
Right away.
Because we probably have those to hand. Yep. Probably got big overnight viewing figures.
Anything involving free Madgeman. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's fair.
I
have no ratings to give you.
No. Also a big event. Big event happened on a couple years earlier. March 31st, 2005, on the BBC website, Eccleston quits Doctor Who role. Yep, that was it. That's and thus the big controversy begins because it's full of quotes of like BBC spokespeople saying, "Yeah, he's left, he's bailed on it." You know, they're basically throwing him under the bus essentially. Which is looking back on it
in the television business,
really? I know, but like the BBC, on the actual BBC website, it's just very.
I'm not surprised. TV people are TV people, no matter who's signing their checks.
Suppose, even though like on the Wednesday, so that was literally the day after. So March 30th, just to cast your mind back to 2005. March 26th, Rose debuts on BBC One, gets like 11 million viewers. And beats Ant and Dec's Saturday Night Takeaway, by the way, which only had 9.9 million. Think about that, folks. Think about that. Where Doctor Who, on a Saturday night in 2005 in March, had almost 11 million. And the second place program was Ant and Dec with 9.9. Nowadays, you couldn't get the top two programs to add up to 9.9.
Are Ant and Dec still a thing? That's another question.
Oh yeah, they are.
What? Really?
Oh yeah,
I haven't heard them for maybe because we don't. Doctor Who doesn't air against them, so I don't.
Yeah, exactly. If it doesn't air against it, I have no clue what it is.
Yeah.
Well, they host, what is it, X Factor or Britain's Got Talent or some.
Oh, that's why I don't know, because I couldn't.
Some whatever thing.
I don't watch those. Anyway, the press goes, oh my God, like 11 million people watch Doctor Who. And then the BBC says, guess what? You're getting a new series. And they announced that on March the 30th, 2005. And everyone's going, oh, wow, this is amazing. I look forward to seeing Christopher. Oh, he's not going to be there. Oh. So, and even then, in this article here that I'm looking at from the BBC website from 2005, they're all over David Tennant probably being the new Doctor. I don't remember where my head was at that time because I didn't know who Eccleston was, and I certainly didn't know who David Tennant was at the time. So didn't know how to wrap my head around.
Had you seen Casanova?
No.
Or
I'd heard of it, but I'd never seen it.
Remember, I had only discovered BitTorrent 3 weeks prior to Rose dropping it. So
you're an enabler.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So. And we were talking like dial-up at this point, right? So like I was not getting the best internet speed. So no, Chris, I had not seen any of those at the time. So
gotcha.
So yep. So heady days in 2005 is what happened when Eccleston left. But he's back now in Big Finish, as I'm sure we'll talk about in a few minutes. We dip into April. By the way, happy spring daylight saving time there in UK. We're back to 7 hours in between our two time zones again, which makes me feel much more comfortable. The Sea Devils wrapped. Speaking of the Sea Devils, Devils wrapped up April 1st, 1972. 50 years ago, folks. 50 years ago.
Good gravy.
As did Macroterror, episode 4.
That's true.
Part of our Ian Stewart Black miniscope from whatever week that was.
Nice callback that was.
Speaking of callbacks, there's also two more to add to your old Doctor Who Chinese people's.
Oh dear.
What a week!
I don't know how you want to phrase that, but we got Celestial Toymaker episode 1 and episode 6 of the Talons of Wing Chang.
Well,
the problematic week we're going to call this.
What a week!
Yeah.
What a week for Anglo-Chinese relations in the history of Doctor Who. This week was in history. Celestial Toymaker with Michael Gough wearing clearly a Chinese costume. When you think about the name of the story, yep, probably intended to be a little more racist than it actually ended up being on screen, and not just because of the famous rhyme that is repeated in I think episode 2 or 3. And then the Talons of Wing Chang. Now, I'll be that guy, the apologist who goes, now wait a second. Lee Sen Chang did not feature in that episode. Yeah, thank you very much. That makes it A-okay.
I like how you're scolding yourself.
Yeah, I've invented a character to myself to scold.
You just did what everybody does on Twitter. I'm very mad at this person I just invented.
Well, Warren,
we do have the Peking homunculus going amok. So
that's true.
I have
different
both
times.
those action figures, and I have never once used the Peking homunculus in Bookshelf Doctors because every time I find them, I'm like, oh no, you're just going to stay in the bin with the rest of them. There's no way to make this funny and not be terrible. So
what are you going to say?
Yeah, exactly. Like nothing. Just no.
Let it go. Anyway, Talons of Wing Chang, episode 6 aired. Listen, I adore that story. I accept the racism in it, and
well, everything's fine then.
No, it's not fine. It's not fine. But you know what? Pretending it never existed is not doing anyone any favors. The only thing it's doing favors for is, let's face it, white people who are embarrassed by it. So no, damn it, I a white person own my shame when it comes to how people like me treated people.
I know people get mad about Disney putting warnings or whatever in front of them. I'm like, that's the best solution I can think of.
100%.
Here you go. Here it is. If it's going to offend you, probably for good reasons, don't watch it. But here's a warning just to be, more or less to comfort Disney's butt, let's be honest here. I don't see a better solution than that. So
no, there's on BritBox, there's the BBC Shakespeare stuff is all on there, and so they have the 1981 production of Othello with Anthony Hopkins blacked up in the title role, and they have a big old disclaimer on there. So this was made at a time when this was considered acceptable. It's not now, but to erase it would be like erasing the past essentially. So this is what it was like. Here it is, and
and there are other reasons, like academic reasons and other reasons, to have this preserved for some reason.
Yeah,
I may not like it, but I probably don't. But
I am disappointed that they didn't sort of address that on the season 14 Blu-ray. I feel like there should have been like maybe there should be on BritBox too. I mean, if they're doing it for BBC Shakespeare, I think if you're going to watch Towns of Wing Chang on BritBox, I think there should be like
any number of other things that I haven't watched that are on there that I'm sure have something. Oh, here's Faulty Towers. There's a couple of Faulty Towers. They're a bit much.
It's when you, as I have been doing in recent weeks, dipping back into the BBC archive, you realize that wasn't just Towns of Wing Chang that they were doing this with.
No.
Yeah. Anyway, Who's Doctor Who aired the next night. I know it's technically next week, but Who's Doctor Who, the Melvin Bragg documentary, the first ever documentary made about Doctor Who, aired on April 3rd. So that was a big thing. Big thing back in the day. And of course, the end of the world. We end the Timelash with the end of the world, April 2nd, 2005. The first time we ever saw Doctor Who cry. Remember that? That was quite something. And then we found out about the Time War at the end of that episode. My people are gone. We found out that, oh my God, Gallifrey's gone. Like, he never said Gallifrey, but we, like, the fans knew.
I thought was impactful, I have to say.
It really was. What made it impactful is that all of a sudden, because of that, neither people who are brand new to the show or those of us who have lived in it for 30 years, neither of us knew what was happening. What was coming down the pipe. Mm-hmm. Like, this is new to all of us, and it's interesting and exciting.
I have to correct you, and I might be wrong, because this might be an embellishment for the Target novelization, but at the end of the Green Death, as Joe leaves, I believe, in the book anyway, it says the Doctor wiped a tear away. That may not be on film.
That is a Malcolm. Is Malcolm Hulk write that one, or did Terrence Dicks? I don't remember.
But I do remember that really striking me at the time reading it. So
yeah, it's an embellishment. Just so you know, never happened on screen. But not that I'm dismissing his emotions in this. But
it was Hulk that wrote the novelization. It was Hulk that wrote the
novelization. There you go.
And so it has happened, just not in TV form until then.
Yeah.
Don't forget that not the first time the Doctor was smitten on screen, but Doctor Who tries to get with a tree.
That's true.
That is one hell of a fine-looking tree. I can't say about it.
She was on the Radio Free Scroll Live show.
We met her.
She was.
Yep.
She was.
Absolutely. We met a lot of people in this crazy old mixed-up world that we're in right now. But anyway, that's it. That's it for a monumental week. In Doctor Who history, in the time.
Now for a monumental week in Big Finish.
My God, Big Finish! I tell you,
this is pretty much par for the course for Big Finish. Let's be honest here.
I feel like there was a press release a day, basically, for Big Finish. So we'll rattle them off here as best we can. The Big Finish 6th Doctor Adventures Waterworlds is coming May 2022. That's in a couple months from now. Almost really just a month from now when you think about it. That's, of course, 6th Doctor and Mel with 3 different stories across that box set. That is available for pre-order. Got that? So there's May. There's May covered. June, you've got the 4th Doctor Adventures, The Nine.
The Nine.
Which, of course, is kind of like the 11 and stuff like that. Cause
you can hear him saying it, though. Oh, The Nine.
Oh, The Nine. Yeah, probably like that.
How many nines have you seen today?
3 times 3, which is, of course, 9. Lizbeth, our good friend Lizbeth Myles wrote a story in that box set, so that's awesome for her, writing words for Tom Baker to say on tape, which is pretty sweet.
Yeah, we should, I'm sure, put her over the moon.
Yeah. I mean, she's written a whole bunch of stuff. Unit Brave New World is coming June, so that's also June. So we got May covered, and we have 2 things in June. 4th Doctor Adventures, The Nine, and then a Unit, the next Unit thing, Brave New World, Seabird 1. Remember Seabird 1 from Battlefield?
Sounds like a Thunderbird. It sounds like a Jerry Anderson production. Seabird 1.
It does a little bit, doesn't it? No, Seabird, they mentioned Seabird in Battlefield.
Oh, I'm sure they do. I'm just saying, it does sound like a Jerry Anderson jam.
Yeah. Initially, I thought Speedbird Concorde 192. That's what I thought from Time Flight, dipping back, which is honestly...
I think we've had enough Time Flight talk.
Yep.
If we had to rename
Time Flight talk.
If we had to rename our podcast, we would be called Speedbird Concorde 192. I'm just going to say.
Or Time Flight.
Time Flight works
How about neither?
Fine. That's available for pre-order as well. Stars Angela Bruce as Brigadier Winifred Bambera. So there you go. Seabird 1. So there you go. We got one in May, 2 in June. Coming, when is this? I don't know when this next one's coming. October of 2022. The Master Nemesis Express. That's starring Eric Roberts, who I saw very briefly at Gallifrey 1 this past year, and Chase Masterson in 3 stories about his master. One of them also written by Liz Myles. Capture the chronivore. If you
the
want
world's foremost chronivore expert, so I think this tracks.
100% loves the time monster. So well done. I like that Liz is just calling shots.
Chronivore expert.
Yeah, they got. You know what? I want to put the chronivore in it. Yes, you can have the chronivore. So there we go. That's October of 2022. And then finally, Liz again. Liz Myles owns the news list here with Big Finish. She's written Torchwood, The Black Knight, which comes out. When is that, Chris? Also October?
Today.
Well,
it's out.
It's out now.
23rd. What was that? So this past Wednesday.
March the 23rd. The Black White Torchwood. So there you go. 3 releases from Liz Myles on the space of 1 news list. Amazing. All from bigfinish.com. So
listen to Liz on Verity.
Yes, do listen to Liz on Verity. They have a new episode coming. Well, they have an episode coming out every week, but they're recording tomorrow. That's all I know. As we record this, it's already recorded. It's in the can. I don't want to tell you what it's about, though, because I don't know if they know. And lastly, this is exciting. We mentioned earlier that there's a J&T Production Diaries book coming out in May 1st from Richard Molesworth. There's also a Doctor Who and the Daleks, the official story of the 2 Cushing films.
Cushing?
Cushing. I said Cushing. Cushing.
I'm going to start saying Cushing. Wait a minute. Why are you mispronouncing things? That's my job.
That's your
Back off, buddy.
Adric Valeyard. Yeah.
Exactly. It is.
Doctor Who that's coming out, October, I think it was, wasn't it? The one September. Late September.
6th.
September 6th in both the US and the UK, and that never happens. No mention of Canada, but, we're used to being ignored. So that's pretty cool. I would love to know about the story about the making of these 2 wonderful films. So links in the show notes at radiofreescaro.com if you want to have a look at your old little pre-order links and stuff like that. They come from Titan Books. So there you go, everyone. That's it for our news and banter. To sum up, Big Finish released a lot of stuff. Hugh Grant is not... Couple pictures from the Sea Devils, and Hugh Grant is not...
Which aren't new. Apparently they were in, I guess, SFX.
So we've sussed that. So
I've been peeking at the replies to the tweet from the BBC Doctor Who account, and a bunch of people are like, "What? We waited till midnight for 3 pictures we've already seen?" So I'm assuming that SFX is where they appeared, but they are strictly speaking not new.
Well, they're new to me, so that's enough.
So we begin this segment we end this segment as we begin it, which is to complain about ABC press promotion.
And pretty much ignorant. So.
All right. Well, on that note, everyone, let's enjoy a Doctor Who classic series commentary with Planet of Evil Part 2.
Condenser, most merciful. We're looking forward to excellent duodecaphonic sound.
This is the moment when I get a real feeling of job satisfaction.
Welcome back. It's time for Part 2 of the Doctor Who classic series commentary, Planet of Evil. When we last left our intrepid heroes, we were talking about something completely unrelated to what was happening on the screen.
Surprise, surprise.
An amazing effect, that's what it was, an amazing video effect from 1975 that made Warren plots.
Well, it's definitely a video effect from 1975. Your mileage may vary on how amazing it is. I personally think it's amazing.
I thought you thought it was amazing. Yeah,
pretty biased of me, frankly.
Oh, that's right. Let's see how that effect and indeed the cliffhanger resolves itself with episode 2 of Planet of Evil. I assume you still have your Series 13 or Tom Baker Season 2 Blu-rays paused over the course of whenever you listen to the last episode. That's good, because here we go. Planet of Evil, Part 2 in 3, 2, 1, play. Just making sure it was Part 2. What was I talking about? Yeah, last week or whenever.
Video effects.
video effects is that
great.
analog effects you can't actually replicate. Like I have from the mid 90s, I posted it on my YouTube channel, which is mostly Yoda Savings and Loan and old Star Lost episodes. And
old hockey.
And some old hockey. And I posted like video feedback, what they made the original Doctor Who title sequences for this, basically up until this. And that's something you can't do because it's an analog camera pointing at an analog monitor and thus creating feedback. And you can't do that with a digital camera. It is impossible to do.
I bet you there's a way to not replicate, but like in post-production.
Post-production, but you can't do it live, and that was the exciting thing.
No,
like it was almost art. It was so fun.
Although in theory you could point the camera and then it does the post-production as live. If you can do screens for Boba Fett that are moving in parallel with the actors, you could probably pull that off.
Just like
why you'd want to, I have no idea, but you could.
Just like you can't hook up your old NES to your new flat screen and play Duck Hunt.
Oh, right. Why? It's a cathode ray thing, is it? Is that the deal? Or
well, you need a converter from what it spits out to HDMI, which you can get. Like lots of people who do streaming and stuff.
Well, I'm talking about like the zapper, the light gun function.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that will never work because that is specific to cathode ray tubes.
Another question then, and I know that someone who I think worked on Doctor Who or Blake 7 or Red Dwarf or something went on to work on Captain Power and the World of Tomorrow, whatever the hell the show was called, where it was actually a TV show that you had actual light guns.
Light gun thing,
I had some of the toys when I was a kid.
Yeah, I can't find that show anywhere, and B, I bet you that probably wouldn't work on today's TVs either.
No,
for some
it wouldn't. For Babylon, the thing is, the thing with today's TV though is you could just point your phone as if it was a gun, and the TV would be running a Android program or something that would just automatically track it. You know what I mean, you could replicate that effect in a different way. And probably more, you could do more stuff with it. Like, for instance, when I'm doing Apple Fitness, it's showing my rings and all that from my watch on the screen. So theoretically, you could do that in some way with added content on Amazon or something.
It's not the same, though.
No, it isn't. But
at the very least, even episode 1 of Captain Power and the Soldiers of Tomorrow is on YouTube.
Oh, I haven't looked very hard.
Written by J. Michael Straczynski, by the way.
Stuff on YouTube
okay, I better look for it then, because I used to like that show, mostly because there were gun battles in it, and that's what I thought science fiction was.
Yep. I was right there with you.
Am I correct in that J. Michael Straczynski wrote that show?
Yes, I think he was part of it, yep. Late 80s, I want to say. Canadian.
Could be.
Boy, I'm intrigued by that now.
I remember at the time not realizing it was a Canadian production.
I didn't know it was Canadian production until you told me right now.
I think even then I knew it was Canadian. I don't know why I knew that. Maybe because I recognized one of the actors and I recognize him from Heritage Minutes.
Canadian stuff had a certain look to it too. Yeah, cheap. But not just cheap, but a certain kind of Canadian cheap.
I know, like how do we wind up with different stock of 16 millimeter film? I don't know.
That must have been what it was because it just all looked the same and it all looked like that one stock of film.
Yep.
J. Michael Straczynski was basically head writer.
Yeah.
I just remember seeing Adderley, not knowing what it was, going, "Oh, this has got to be Canadian," and it turns out it was because of that stock of film.
Well, because what's his face who starred in it?
Winston Reckart, yeah.
But I didn't even know that it was just the way the film stock looked, Man. And this is what's sad. My engineer dad must be shaking his head even without knowing I'm talking about it or him, because the only science I know is related to film and television. That is it. I know that stuff quite well, not compared to somebody who's like an engineer or something like that in TV. But for a layman, I know a hell of a lot, and that's the only science I know because it's the only thing I can find slightly interesting.
Oh, that
makes TV? Okay, I want to know how it does that.
Neon Rider.
Neon Rider. That was the other one.
Good God, man! That's mentioning these Canadian shows is some sort of a hate crime.
Man, just even talking about Captain Power briefly, just oh boy, that's unlocking a little bit of a vault that has long been sealed in my mind, and now I used to watch that religiously on Saturday mornings. That was my thing.
I remember I forget what age I was at the time, but. My mother at a curling bonspiel.
God, just a second. This is a little too Canadian. Let's back off a little bit here, but all right.
As a prize, that was available was one of the Captain Power ships that you could use to point and shoot at the TV screen. And if you got hit, the cockpit would eject out.
It's pretty rad, actually.
Yeah,
She was nice enough to take that as a prize so I could have it as a kid.
Genuinely sorry, everyone who's not from Canada and was alive in the 1980s. I'm really, really sorry. This is really all over your heads, and
I'm not all that sorry, to be honest with you.
maybe not. Wow, that's a lot. That's a lot. That's sometimes we get even more Canadian than I thought we ever do on this show, and we never even mention hockey. That's amazing. We get so Canadian, we don't even mention talk about hockey that much. There's still so much more.
Well, a friend of the show, Graham Burke, today somewhere mentioned Black's Photo, which is like this chain of photo places. I don't know if it's still around, but I was like, I haven't heard that in forever. Good God, that's Canadian.
There's a crash mat on the bottom of that ship.
Well, it makes sense. Yeah. Also, that's pretty rare having something the size of a boat to climb up.
Mm-hmm. Well, and actually having the verticality.
Yeah.
To climb up.
Those are some sweet-looking office chairs.
I think the whole thing is pretty sweet.
Space.
Well, yeah. I mean, we've talked often on the show about my love of multi-level sets, and this is one of them. That is a creepy looking robot. This is cool.
I remember seeing this originally going, what is this insanity?
It's like the Eye of Sauron on there. That is really creepy.
Maybe it is the Eye of Sauron.
Is there any particular reason it has to have a cat's eye, though, I wonder?
Because it's cool.
It makes it look even creepier. I'll say that.
They made a bunch. I can't hear them because I have my sound off, but a bunch of really cool sounds, as I recall, too.
Yeah, the sound design. Oddly enough, there were two sound designers on Doctor Who in the history of the classic Who. There was Brian Hodgson all the way up until the Sea Devils, I think, and then Dick Mills took over from then on, all the way until the end of the classic series. Apart from one story when Dick Mills went on vacation, and it was this story. And Peter Howell did the special sound from the Radiophonic Workshop. Of course, he went on to do music. He had already done some music treatments to Carrie Blyton's Blighted score from Revenge of the Cybermen earlier this year. That's not bad, this shot here.
This is a cool shot,
yeah.
I wonder how they did that. Was it on like one of the cameras?
Probably literally just on the camera tripod, the camera crane shot that was, that's on a string.
Film cameras would have been a hell of a lot smaller than the studio cameras.
Yeah.
Or you could have a guy on a ladder, even, honestly, with a film camera.
Yeah. And they're not...
Because if this is 16, which it probably is, then it's like a news camera, essentially. And those things are heavy, but they're not studio cam heavy.
It's a shame in a way that I didn't really realize this until I read it kind of recently, that Doctor Who, initially, when they went on location, shot on 35 mil. I don't think it was until...
I didn't know that.
Sometime in the Troughton.
Cool. I love seeing this POV stuff. It's really cool.
That's just CSO'd in. That's just film footage CSO'd in. I think it was it... Don't quote me on this, but I think... might have been Abominable Snowman. It was the first time they used 16 mil. Or maybe the last time they used 35. I can't remember if that was the dividing line. But basically, because it's 35 mil, yes, it would look better, but we're on 405 line master tape. So any effect that you get from it kind of looks bad. So that's why that roll of raw film footage from the War Machines looks so amazing.
It's stupendous
because it's on 35 mil, and they were using that as regular at the time. But then as TV shows were starting to do outside filming more often, well, we got to find a cheaper way to do this. We can't blow our money on it's looking good, so we're going to 16 mil. If it's good enough for the Beatles on Let It Be, then it's good enough for you, Doctor Who.
They're projecting that in IMAX, so God only knows what kind of interpolation. Like, you have to invent quantum math to get that to look good in IMAX, because it's originally 16. Which, to be fair, is HD resolution. So
yeah, Spearhead from Space is 16 mil, of course, and it looks pretty good on Blu-ray.
I remember at one time reading about how all these shows, like Battlestar Galactica for one, and other ones too, Enterprise, there's another one, shot in early HD, decent enough cameras, but still you need to up-res them and all the rest of it, as opposed to stuff like, say, the Rockford Files, which looks pristine because it was shot on 35 millimeter. I remember at the time going, oh, that's disappointing, and now I'm like, no, that's good.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, nah, take that, early 2000s.
Was Enterprise shot HD? Because that's like 2002.
Yeah, I believe it was. Okay. I think it was the first one to be shot in HD.
Interesting. I know it was widescreen. It was widescreen.
Shot, like, released HD. I'm like, you know what? I think it does exist in... I'm pretty sure it exists in HD. Let me just check.
Yeah, I'm really curious about that. I know it was obviously...
I'm going to have to grow a new butt to talk out of.
It was obviously the first in widescreen, but I don't remember if it was in HD or not. Sure, that would have been hilarious if Netflix, like, yeah, we got the up-res of TNG and Enterprise, but nope, Deep Space Nine and Voyager.
First 3 seasons were shot on widescreen 35mm film.
Film, okay.
Then that makes sense.
And then for the last season...
Also, it totally makes sense because they were shooting in 35mm film through all the other shows, so why screw around that workflow, right?
Yeah, and you could tell.
Until they could go, look how amazing this is because it's HD, blah, blah, blah. Or they had to save money.
What were they on? Digital video for season 4, the last one? Or
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was it SD or was it HD?
There's no way you go from 35
Do you know
to
offhand, or?
I'm trying to just read the thing and I don't see anything to say either way.
That's fine.
Well, it says...
It
just says the... filming in high-definition video would be a benefit because of the additional detail that could be seen on screen.
There you go.
We're going to say hello. We're going to say goodbye to Louis Mahoney here at last, but...
sorry.
We will not see him again until Blink.
No. And if you blink, you'll miss him dying.
Yeah, he died now.
He is great in Blink, though.
He is absolutely superb. Blake is an amazing episode, and he might have the best line in the whole thing. I have until the rain stops. God, what a tragic line. Blake's really good. This is good too. This is good too, in its way. Little cheap. Looks a little cheap, but whatever. I don't care. It's good old Doctor Who with Marriott ice buckets, as we determined last week.
I have found a headline from Trek Today from June 14th, 2001, A More Innocent Time.
Oh my God, is it ever?
Enterprise shooting in high definition.
Oh, wow.
Series 5, which they got wrong, because there was no Series 5, was there? It was
Nope.
just 4 series.
Series 4 ended.
There was a fan campaign for Series 5 that never got the money.
Oh, I bet you they probably thought, hey, we did it with the original series. We could do it with this too. Come on. No.
Yeah, they shot in HDTV. They didn't know, at least in June 14th, 2001, A More Innocent Time, whether there was going to be broadcast in HDTV, which, to be fair, remember the difference in watching between, this is terrible, but the difference between the footage from 9/11 and the footage from Iraq 2 years later, not even 2 years later, where it's all widescreen and a lot of it's HD.
Yes,
nothing of the sort for 2001,
I know.
which of course, which relied on mostly non-broadcast sources anyway, right? So.
Yeah, hockey was the thing because they used to have the score bug all the way across the HD image, but then they only had the bug itself like really pretty much centered and kind of small so that you could watch it on SD or HD. It was a weird time, the early to mid 2000s, where like we were kind of doing the switch over from 4:3
really.
to 16:9 to SD to HD, and it was a long process. It was a long.
Well, the TVs were expensive. Like I remember for not a great HD TV in 2009, I bought for like $800.
Oh yeah.
And now the one I bought for less than that, $750, is like HDR, 4K, a million times better, 55-inch, and this one was like 30-something probably.
The first HD TV I bought was a 34-inch Toshiba tube TV, weighed 165 pounds.
Oh my God.
Good gravy.
It did 480p/1080i.
Oh, I remember that option.
It's probably you paid the budget for a Planet of Evil episode 2, probably.
I think you did.
I could have bought a decent used car.
Yeah.
Also, once again, I'm ashamed and proud of myself for taking 9/11 and Iraq War, two disastrous events in American history, and just reducing it to what kind of TV formats were they using and how.
Anyway, this is Planet of Evil. I want to talk about Michael Wisher a little bit and how the
how pervasive and how different he is.
No, what I want to talk about is the like you try to jump in and try to guess at what of the many possible topics I want to talk about Michael Wisher. Let's try and guess what it is.
Yeah. See, all I want to talk about is old TV technology. So he has nothing to do with that.
I am. What is really telling about Michael Wisher here, who of course earlier on, because Michael Wisher is basically one of David Maloney's company. He was in Planet of the Daleks, I think, is what a Dalek voice. I think obviously he was in Genesis because he knew him or something. And says, "Hey, do you want to wear a mask and play the main villain in this?" And he said, "Okay, fine." He wasn't necessarily an actor of great renown, like the other guest cast in this. But this was what the wearing a mask and not having your face seen on TV. This is how low those type of roles were considered. Now you would put,
direct Carnival.
What's that?
Did Maloney direct Carnival as well?
No, it was Barry Letts.
Right.
But now you get you find like Sir Ian McKellen and you put him in like, oh, guess what? He's wearing a massive prosthetic and he's playing like an alien something. Like you go out of your way to make this well-known actor completely unrecognizable, but
sometimes to its detriment.
I think so too.
Two examples of this,
but it just goes to show, Michael Wisher created Davros, possibly one of the greatest,
the best Davros performance,
and an iconic character. But because it's just a guy in a mask in a Dalek thing, it's kind of at the time treated like a second-rate acting job. And this is why he's just playing like crewman number 3 in Planet of Evil. A year later.
Yeah, weird.
Like it's like saying, hey, Julian Bleach, thanks for doing Davros. Do you want to just sort of like play the first crew member that gets killed off in like 42 or something like that? Like that's kind of that level of that step down. It's amazing to see Michael Wisher just being thrown around like an average. He should be knighted at this point in the show's history.
I think it goes to show what the British acting industry was like in the day.
That too, yeah, because people were reluctant to take it. If they're not going to be seen, if they're not going to be seen on camera, a lot of actors say, "No, I don't want anything to do with that." Your 2 examples, sorry.
Although a gig is a gig. No, my 2 examples of people being slathered in both digital and analog makeup. For crazy reasons is Idris Elba, who I believe was voted sexiest man alive, maybe not the same year as Star Trek Beyond, but pretty close to it. And he's basically unrecognizable in it. He's this lumpy-headed creature, except for like some flashback footage. I'm like, this is Idris Elba. This is one handsome dude. What the hell are you wasting this nonsense on him for?
Same with Thor, when you think about it. I mean, he's kind of under a lot of makeup in that too, the eyes and everything.
That's true, yeah. But less. And then you get Lupita Nyong'o as a 2'3" prune in the Star Wars films, and I'm like, Lupita Nyong'o, great actor, does a great job as I can't remember the name of the prune lady.
I know, Lamaze.
Thank you.
Yeah, Maz
Kanata. That's who it is. But again, a stunning human individual. Like, what the hell? Why do they look like Grimace in a balloon?
Yeah.
What is this nonsense?
I think it's, I love how these two guys, I like how everyone hops up around the chair there. I think, like, honestly, the Disney films of the late 80s, early 90s, once they started, like, becoming much more renowned, Beauty and the Beast gets nominated for an Oscar. And I think the whole notion, Robin Williams, I think, basically changed it.
I think you're right.
It becomes Aladdin and just makes that role iconic, and now all of a sudden everybody's jumping at the opportunity to be a voice actor for a Disney film. And then,
but honestly, now it's gone too far, because you can't have a big animated film where you should have good voice, and I will have some good voice actors, but these people are professionals, and voice acting is different than acting.
Very different.
So you're gonna get somebody like, and I don't know, maybe Chris Pratt will be great as Mario in the Mario movie, but I have my doubts. And that's an Anna Taylor-Joy. They're good, Chris Pratt is entertaining for what he does.
Right.
Anna Taylor-Joy is a good actor. But it seems odd to have people who, yes, you have to have people with recognizable street cred to get people to see the movie in the first place.
Yeah.
But there's a ton of voice actors who are really good.
Lots.
Who at least should be given supporting actor roles for these things.
And they really aren't they? Let's look for the cameos.
Unless your name was Frank Welker. Perhaps,
Frank Welker is everything,
And I should point out the Super Mario thing is going to be an animated film, so that's why if it was live action, sure.
Yeah.
But if you got like Brad Pitt as the voice of whoever in whatever, like Forbidden Planet, where the hell not Forbidden Planet, Treasure Planet, and I'm totally screwing up which names. Anyway, you get what I'm saying here.
Yeah.
You get a big name actor in one of these cartoons, and it's like, or Matt Damon in Titan AE. They're going to do a fine job. They're actors, but it doesn't seem fair when you have all these actors who are really good at these jobs.
No, you're basically catering your animated character to the voice that it's providing them, as opposed to the other way around.
Yeah, and I think you're right. Robin Williams started that, but Robin Williams, the difference being it's Robin Williams.
Yeah,
But even
who was actually a great voice actor too.
Even when he started it, he still was uncredited and all that kind of stuff. So
yeah. Speaking of animated, we saw some animated flash effects there as the laser effect shot the antimatter beast there. A rare instance of that in Doctor Who, an animated effect that was superimposed on that. Again, live.
But still in camera.
Still in camera, yep. take the source and whatever it was, play it in there. I mean,
I'd hate to be the guy who's in charge of that.
we're in season 13. This is the last season in which Doctor Who, which had done this since Inferno informally, and then officially in Terror of the Autons, when Barry Letts fully takes over, where they were making 2 episodes every fortnight. So, rehearse for 12 days, then on day 13, you shoot episode 1, and day 14, you shoot episode 2, and then you go back and you start rehearsing episodes 3 and 4. And they were still doing that here. They were we're looking at studio day 2, essentially, shooting, apart from this, the film stuff. So they're still using this sort of mildly outdated way of shooting episode by episode. It sort of started kind of fading out a little bit by the end of this. They had to do a lot of set-by-set stuff for Seeds of Doom based on actor availability for sickness and stuff. And then by Mask of Mandragora, where they started basically just having, 5 or 6 day-long studio sessions and shooting the whole episode that way. So things were progressing, is what I mean to say, but it wouldn't be until Underworld where they would have an actual gallery only day for post production visual effects.
Back in the cockpit of the ship, there with the the keyed in video, all the lights were all kind of distorted and whatnot. I'm assuming that's all part and parcel of the same thing.
Could be. I was rambling on, Chris. I wasn't looking, but I imagine we'll have ample opportunity to look at more flashing lights on the bridge.
Might be in the reprise.
Indeed we shall.
Find out, yeah.
Indeed we shall.
Oh yeah, oh my God, yeah, that's right. This is the end. We're here.
This is the end.
This is the cliff dive. What? I was looking on we're barely 23 minutes into this. The freeze frame.
This freaked me out the first time I saw it. I was terrified. What's he gonna do? Oh my God.
That was a short episode of Doctor Who. How long was that? It was 21 minutes long or something?
22 and a half.
Oh, God.
Yeah. It's a little more convincing in Creature from the Pit when he falls into the pit than the freeze frame on this one. But
how many freeze frames did Dave Maloney use for cliffhangers? Obviously, Sarah Jane Fallen and
Genesis,
and then Deadly Assassin. I guess is that it? Is that the 3? Is that the only 3 that that he did? Freeze frame cliffhangers over the years? I think it might be.
I'm not going to pretend to remember one way or the other.
Oh no, this is what keeps me awake at night. Thinking about these things.
I'm sure
something
it does.
has to, right?
Right? I know. God.
You wake up screaming over these things.
I don't. I wake up intrigued. Anyway.
Meanwhile, your wife has to explain to a psychotherapist why you wake up with night terrors.
Why am I waking up screaming
the
at
psychotherapist
night?
puts their pen down, calmly puts their pad of paper down, goes, well, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but your husband's a psychopath.
Yep. A little bit.
Sorry to tell you, he's a Doctor Who fan.
Oh, I knew that going in, she said.
They just slide divorce papers slowly over the desk to her.
She knew it. She was
that are committal papers for a mental institution.
Hey.
Why not both? Anyway, sorry, this got dark. I'm sorry.
Wow. On
Two
that
birds
note,
with one form.
On that note, join us next time for Planet of Evil Part 3, our classic series commentary here on Radio Free Skaro. Until next time, I am Stephen in Edmonton.
Warren in Vancouver.
And Chris in Edmonton.
So long for now.
You've been listening to Radio Free Skaro. Find us online at radiofreeskaro.com. Follow us on Twitter and Tumblr at Radio Free Skaro. Subscribe to us on iTunes and donate to the show at patreon.com/Radio Free Skaro. Thank you.